For more on the loans for Nigeria, I'm now joined on the News at 10 by the World Bank Country Director to Nigeria, Mr. Shubham Chaudhary. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Good evening. Good to be here.
Yes, indeed. So the World Bank has been Nigeria's development partner for many years. Give us a background on the years of collaboration and how effective it has been. Let's start with that.
So Nigeria is like 188 other countries, a member and a shareholder, meaning an owner of the World Bank. And our basic mission everywhere in all the countries in which we work is to help the countries eliminate extreme poverty, make lives better for people in a sustainable way. So that's what we've been trying to do here in Nigeria. We work through government, both at the federal and at the subnational level, meaning with the states, which are responsible for doing most of what ordinary Nigerians are looking for from their government. You know, having good primary health care, basic education for all children, rural roads so farmers can get to their markets, basic electricity access. So jobs, economic opportunities that, young Nigerians can aspire to. So what we try to do is help finance, but also support through ideas from other countries, government programs that will do these things, that will deliver these basic services, that will provide rural electricity or roads. And we try to do this in a way that ensures that there's value for money. The financing that the World Bank provides is a loan. It's a highly concessional loan, but it is still a loan that Nigeria will have to pay back over a number of years. So part of what we try to do is working closely with government partners, but also with civil society and other stakeholders, ensure that these programs are well implemented, that the funds are used for the purposes that they were intended, and that the communities and the final beneficiaries, intended beneficiaries, do actually see the value of how these funds are spent.
All right, so the World Bank has strongly advocated for fuel subsidy removal. Now that it has been done, Nigerians are beginning to feel the pinch, or are feeling the pinch, with high rising costs leading to more suffering. Don't you think this is counterintuitive in the sense that the poor don't seem to be benefiting from this action?
So you're absolutely right that there has been pain, that Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, are seeing prices go up. Transport prices of, if you're trying to get to work from one of the satellite towns around Abuja, the price of commuting every day has probably doubled, if not tripled. So certainly there has been a pain. The basic point to remember, though, is that this pain was necessary as a part of almost like an emergency surgery to stop the hemorrhaging of the Federation's finances. Funds, 400 billion naira per month, that could have been used for primary health care, that could have been used for basic education, for just to ensure law and order and security all around the country, was instead being used to finance something where the benefits were mostly being realized by the rich or across the borders. So undoubtedly, in the short term, there has been and will be pain, but it is all in the interests of a longer-term gain, which is to enable the Nigerian government, again, both at the federal and at the state levels, to truly invest in Nigeria's people, to invest in the infrastructure that communities need, and to ultimately enable those private investment to come in and create the jobs that Nigerians are looking for. So part of the challenge going forward for the government, and here's where we've been trying to help and provide some ideas and support from other countries, is how can you alleviate at least some of the pain that ordinary Nigerians are feeling as Nigeria goes towards a much better future where those longer-term gains will be realized.
All right, Mr. Chaudhary, recently we had the Global Financial Pact Summit in Paris. And of course, African leaders were asking for fairness in terms of the interest rates that African countries will be asking whenever they come to the World Bank or indeed the Western world for these loans. But particularly African leaders are saying that why can't we have grants and perhaps a moratorium? Why loans? Don't you think that can also help impact in the situation, particularly with Nigeria as a case study?
So I think here again, it's about trade-offs. I'm an economist, and economics is essentially the kind of a discipline that looks at trade-offs. They're always, if you do one thing, it means you may not be able to do something else. So the trade-off in this particular case is to enable the World Bank to have the financing to continue to provide financing into the future. So imagine if we have, say, $1 billion that we can use to support Nigeria and other African countries. If we were to give it all out in grants right today, we would do that once and we would be done. Instead, if we were to give it, as we do in the case of Nigeria, as a 30-year loan at a very low interest rate, it's about 2.5% per year, with an initial grace period of between 8 and 10 years, what that means is that effectively it is in many ways like a grant, because that's why it's called highly concessional, but there is some repayment which then enables us to continue to provide this kind of concessional financing going forward. So that really is the trade-off. Now, I think everyone would agree that it would be great to have a world where we were able to provide even more concessional financing. And believe me, from my perspective as country director for Nigeria, I'm trying to make that case all the time. How can we get more concessional financing, not just for Nigeria, but for other sub-Saharan African countries? But ultimately, that financing, for it to be concessional and not commercial, it has to come from somewhere. So that's where governments in other countries have to decide, and taxpayers in other countries have to decide, yes, we want to do this. And that's part of also what we try to do, to help make the case why it is in the interest of the global community to provide this kind of concessional financing so that countries like Nigeria is the largest country in Africa, is the biggest economy in Africa. Nigeria's success will determine where the region, the continent goes. So to help Nigeria succeed, it is in the interest of other countries to expand the pool of concessional financing. But in the meantime, I think we continue to try and provide as much concessional financing, but it will be as a credit rather than as a grant.
All right, Mr. Shubham Chaudhry, thank you so much for your thoughts on the news at 10. We thank you so much once again.
Thank you.